Hi everybody, it's Natalie here, and today I want to talk about the fact that I'm running out of money. So what does that mean? So I was made redundant last October, and since then I have been living on savings, some consultancy work and some seasonal work, and it's now July and I am running out of funds. So I've obviously paid all my July bills. I have money to live on, but August and September, I have to dip into my savings further before October comes, when I intend to take my first pension payment. So, and I've got a few notes here just to remind myself of what I'm intending to do this October, because I intend to have a review every October and April before I take funds from the pension each 6 months. And if you look at my previous video, which I shall do a link to here or here, whichever way is the right way, it'll show you what my framework is for taking funds from my pension. And I'm actually getting to that point now where it's no longer academic. It is going to actually have to happen in October, which is freaky scary for me, because obviously I've been in accumulation mode for so very long, and to transition now out of am I going to work again, am I not, into yeah, I have to start taking my pension. That's going to be a very difficult period to actually make that first withdrawal. However, I will say that I have actually spoken to the pension company. So I had a call with them. I brought all my facts and figures. I brought my entire framework, what I wanted to do, when, how much I wanted to take, where I wanted to take it from, what would happen to uncrystallized funds, what would happen to crystallized funds. So I had that all laid out, and that is the most important thing, I think, as well, is that preparation before you go in to have a discussion with your pension company, is understanding and knowing what it is that you intend to do with your pension. So I have decided that I'm going to take £30,000 out of my pension, which is going to go into, and again I've got it written down here from my notes, which is going to be a tax-free lump sum. So I'll just keep this up here because there's nothing private on here. These are just my notes. So I'm going to take 30,000 out of my pension, tax-free lump sum. That is going to actually be my one major withdrawal from the pension in order to be mortgage free. Now, I'm actually not going to be mortgage free until September 2027, purely because that's when my fixed rate ends. But I'm going to basically knock most of it on its head, and the period between now and September is that will run out the remainder of the pension of the mortgage. So I have 3,000 left until October. I have the opportunity to earn a modest, very modest amount of money through some academic work and some seasonal work that I have started a little job, which I maybe do about 8 hours a week for mainly minimum wage. And again, I've got a video on that as well. But that just is mostly to get me out of the house and get me social interaction, etc. So that, let's say £500 per month. The seasonal work ends at the end of September, which is perfect because that will then dovetail nicely into when I do actually have to take the pension. So the pension that I intend to take in October is going to be, the first one is going to be taking some tax-free lump sum in order to become mortgage free. And then I'm going to plus, so I'm going to take taxable income from my pension to the tune of £12,000. Now that £12,000 is for 6 months. Granted, what I will say is when I actually do the review in sort of September, October, I will review the markets, I will review my pension pot, and depending on where things stand with the change in government, the Prime Minister, etc. I don't know what that'll do to the markets, but come that period, I will then make a decision about where generally the markets are, whether I'm in a normal bull market, whether I'm sort of sideways, whether it's a bear market, so things are starting to, go down, or whether or not there's been a market crash. So based on all of those, that will make I will make a decision that I will then have one of 4 pension spending amounts. Now the 12,000 is the maximum that I will ever take from the pension at any one time. That's my very comfortable living, £2,000 a month that I can live very comfortably on. My floor is £15,000 per annum, so 7,500. So there's a considerable drop between 12,000 and 7,500. However, that is something that I am, I'm not comfortable going down to that level, but I know that I can. I've had a couple of months this year where I have basically lived at that level in order to test it out. It's not comfortable, but it is something that I can certainly live on during a market crash. So if everything is as it is today here in July, I will take an amount out to become mortgage free, and an amount out that will actually be a comfortable living amount for the period between October and April. When April comes, and that's the new financial year, that's when I will actually do another assessment and determine what the next 6 months of spending is going to be. So it's pretty scary that I'm actually down at this level a couple of months out and actively now pursuing taking money from the pension. They said it can take somewhere between a week to 10 days for the money to come down, but I have to go back into my pension platform and go through both the tax-free lump sum system to select that and select the amount. That then gives me an amount that is tax-free lump sum, but amount that goes then into the crystallized fund. And at that point, I can choose what to do with that fund. So I'm going to de-risk part of that into slightly lower equities bond ratio, just so that my overall portfolio is just de-risked a little bit. And the rest remains in uncrystallized funds. And I have 2 pensions, so I'm only considering 1 pension. The other one will just run hopefully until I'm 67 plus. And again, in my previous video, I went through a lot of that detail. So all in all, I am absolutely bricking it in terms of having made that decision to semi-retire, and my semi-retirement is pretty much retirement. You know, the amount of money that I would make in earnings, certainly in the summer, is going to be maybe up to £1,000 a month, but in the winter it's going to be a couple of £100 a month, which again I've done all the numbers and whatever, and it's fine. But I really cannot see myself going back into a permanent job ever again. I'm done with the corporate life, and so what I'm looking for now are interesting opportunities to do something different, like this little seasonal job that I'm doing right now. So we'll see how it goes. But yeah, running out of money is a bit scary, and I've not been in a position like this since probably my early 20s, when you're dumb as a box of rocks, and you're on low wage, you are credit cards, because you just don't know anything about finance. And so I haven't felt this precarious. Yeah, I know I've got money, I know I've got cash reserves, I do have cash reserves as well, so technically I'm not running out of money in that respect. But those are for very specific periods of use, i.e. when I have when there is a crash and I have to use money from my cash reserves versus selling at the bottom of the market. That's what that money's for. So I don't consider it as money that I have between now and October. That's very much sidelined. So I am now living off what was some redundancy money, some other savings, and, you know, a little bit of hustle here and there, as we all do. And I think that's the other thing, is and I'll probably do another video on this, but the whole idea now of working until you are 60, 65 in the same job or in the same sector. So, you know, whether or not you're changing jobs every 2, 3, 4, 5 years, the fact that you're still in like that corporate treadmill or whatever, I think a lot more people, certainly in my generation, are stepping away from that. My son's generation are not looking at job security at all. And they're looking for, you know, multiple income streams, multiple ways of doing, you know, earning a living, and also hopefully not trying to keep up the Joneses or whatever anymore, because it's a fool's errand to do that. So I have been very lucky that I have earned enough that I have been able to put money away into pension and some cash reserves. My house is about to be paid off, which is great. Oh, thank goodness. But I'm now deaccumulating after 20, 25 years of accumulating, and that's got to be the scariest thing. Anyway, like, subscribe, do the do's, do all the what's it's. Please comment. I'd like to know if anybody else is in this position. I'd like to know I'm not alone. I'm screaming into the void here, folks. I know I am. And, you know, I don't get very many views or anything like that, but I'm still plotting this journey just to try and document my own feelings and my own method of securing my retirement financially. So if any of this resonates, please do let me know, and I'll talk to you all again on the next video. Take care. Bye.